It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. Some layoffs at Microsoft as they begin their new fiscal year. Paul and Mary Jo also look ahead for fiscal 2020. Is it 2 or 3? I guess it's 2022, 23. Some predictions, EdgeOS, HoloLens, Surface. We've got an update for the Duo and a caution about using Rufus to install Windows 11. That's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 785, recorded Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Mark of the Web. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Lenovo, orchestrated by the experts at CDW to help transform your organization with Lenovo ThinkPads, equipped with the Intel Evo platform for effortless connectivity and collaboration from anywhere. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo Client. And by Nuvei. Say goodbye to abandoned carts, poor approval rates, and high chargebacks with Nuvei, the platform fast-forwarding to the next generation of payments. Turn payments into powerful accelerators for your business at Nuvei.com. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we... Did I forget to say hello, dozers? The show where we talk about Microsoft with these fabulous head dozers, the chief dozers in chief, Mary Jo Foley from allaboutmicrosoft.com, a ZDNet blog. Paul Thurrott from Thurrott.com, a Thurrott.com joint. Also, yeah. And soon to be my cruise mate. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, Sulky is emerging.
He's already sulking.
He's already in the
Sulky the dwarf.
Sulky, the 8th dwarf. Many people don't remember. You could be grumpy. That's a real dwarf.
You know, the final test I took when I was trying to become a lifeguard was some big guy had to force me under the water and try to drown me.
Oh, my God. That's awful.
That's what I'll be doing to you when
That's awful.
when the ship goes down, Leo.
Does it?
I'll be holding on to you.
That's hysterical. It's going to be a lot of fun, and 120 Twit listeners will be there, and we're going to do a lot of fun things. I've got some prizes. Oh, and I forgot to tell everybody, come as your favorite emoji, because Sunday is World Emoji Day. So we got to, everybody dress as your favorite emoji. Is there an offline emoji? Because that's maybe the best one.
They're a cocktail emoji. You could be a cocktail emoji.
Lisa and I will bring emojis with us, and we'll strap them onto our head, just to set the tone for World Emoji Day. I think that's our lecture. So maybe we could just have the emoji movie, and we don't have to do anything. It'd be fun. All right, let's talk about Windows. Sure. Incidentally, I see that there is they just put out another Insider's build.
Yes.
Yep,
as they do.
Added it to the notes.
Oh, I see. You put it in already.
Yep.
So, let's not start with the happy news. Let's start with the grumpy news. Layoffs.
Yeah.
Not that grumpy though, right?
They do this every year. Is this reorg time? It's like their second, like Q whatever, and it's time.
Q1.
Yeah.
It's
Q1.
the beginning of the fiscal year.
Q1.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
July 1 is the start of their fiscal. So yeah.
So time to cut the fat.
Yeah. Although not much fat. 1% of their 180,000 employees. So not bad,
That's nothing. 1%.
No.
Most companies are doing 10%, 20%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Theirs isn't about, they didn't blame supply chain or any of that. They're just like, we're just realigning our priorities like we do every year. Yeah. Start of the fiscal. That's what we do.
Well, remember
a few years ago.
I was wondering if the CEO sent out the same memo that Sundar Pichai sent out yesterday saying, it's time for you all just to work a little harder. Okay. Just, you know.
He did not. He did not.
Sachi didn't say.
I'm not suggesting you might be gone soon or anything, but you might want to do your best job right now.
Yeah.
It's back to work, you.
Yeah.
Now, remember Microsoft a few weeks ago or a month ago announced they were not hiring in Windows and Office and I think elsewhere in the company. And that's kind of the other way to reduce headcount, right? You just
attrition.
Slow down the spigot.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you go to their career site right now, like if some people are like, oh, they're just not going to hire. I'm like, oh, no, they're hiring. They're hiring a lot for a lot of jobs, AI, cloud, you know, all of those things where their priorities are, right? And you don't see as many jobs listed for Windows. You see some silicon jobs, which is kind of interesting. You see Dynamics and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you don't really see like pure Windows jobs. And
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you see Surface sometimes mentioned.
So I wonder why Microsoft's immune from what it seems to be hitting the whole tech sector, these massive layouts all around.
I would say because so much of their customer base is enterprise, right? And the enterprise isn't immune, but like it's more resilient, I feel like, than the consumer market right now anyway.
Well, it's not as bombastic, right? They don't have the huge peaks and the big valleys. It's not based on word of mouth and what's what people are doing on the street. You know, it's just slow and steady.
I would say rather that it's a lagging indicator, and that you're going to see the corporate tail off later this year. And so, I wouldn't bet this is the last we hear from Microsoft about layoffs this year.
I think this is in the notes. Let me just see if I can find this. Yeah, so I have a story later about the PC sales expectations for this year. So we'll kind of get to that, but just real quickly, the demand for commercial PCs is still there right now. Anyway, the demand for consumer PCs has fallen off a cliff.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I wonder if if this continues towards the end of the year, if there might be more right sizing, as they say. Earnings come out when?
Yeah. Today they posted the earnings are going to be July 26th, Tuesday.
Okay.
There was no date until this morning that I had been able to find. So.
Yeah, I was going to say it would have to be late this month. Yeah, okay. So
that'd be that's their fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And full year.
Right.
And full year. That's right. Yeah.
Same day as Google reports, which is kind of interesting too.
It doesn't happen too often. Yeah, that's good.
No, it does not.
Cool. So
usually they just have dev shows on the same day.
So happy New Year. And as we always do at the end of the old and the beginning of the new, it's time for your predictions for the new fiscal year.
Yeah. You thought I was sulkier earlier. Wait till you hear what I have to say about this.
Yeah, it's a good time to look at what we think they're going to do for the rest of the year. I feel like I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I feel like things have been kind of slow so far this year.
Yes.
There haven't been as many new product announcements. What's been kind of keeping Microsoft going and in the news is a lot of gaming announcements. But I feel like usually by this point in the year, we have a kind of a strong indication of where new products are going, what's likely to come towards the end of the year. And I feel like when I look back at what I've written this year, I'm like, there hasn't been as many brand new things announced.
I'm not saying I can answer the question why, but I feel like the answer might have something to do with the uncertainty around hybrid work and the end of the pandemic. It's not really the end, right? But I just don't. There was a period of time there for a year or two where we knew people were going to be working from home, and it was something that Microsoft and other companies that support businesses could really rally around. Zoom, exploded during this time, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's like, okay, now we're doing hybrid work. All right, great, And, Leo was questioning earlier whether the business PC sales were kind of a lagging indicator and all that kind of thing. I mean, maybe, but, businesses can save a lot of money by closing offices and not bringing people into the office if they can get away with that. I feel like I think that is what might drag out a scale back on the business side, because that's how they can scale back. They can just not put all this money into like real estate, basically, or whatever. So, I mean,
There might be some money to spend, in other words. And in recessions,
or they can spend less money.
Yeah, but less money on facilities, more money on laptops. And stuff.
Maybe. But I just think there's an uncertainty. Like the one trend I would say with Microsoft that I think we've seen over the past, I'm going to say 6 months, since Ignite or so, is during the pandemic, everything was free. Microsoft added features and features and features, and it was all free. They opened up things that were paid before and made them free for others. And now what you're starting to see is new product lines, new brands, new SKUs, and new price points, like things that have a cost associated with them. And I think you can't release paid things at the same scale you can free things, because I think there would be a lot of pushback. So I think this is a natural slowdown, just because of what we experienced over the past 2 years. Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Something like that.
Yeah. But let's dig into Windows first, because I feel like that's kind of what we do here, right? So the rest of this year, there's going to be 2 releases at least of Windows. There's going to be Windows 11 22 H2, which we think September, October, probably a fall release.
Yeah,
right?
I'm guessing it might be a little earlier than October.
You do?
Just because of the way it's kind of come together. But October's a safe bet, sure.
Fall.
Yeah.
We could say fall time frame in the US. And then Windows 10 22 H2 we also believe will come out this year. I mean, they've been very close-mouthed about that one and kind of where it's at, what's going to be in it or not.
Right.
But you know what? There might be other Windows releases before or after that as well, because of the way they've been bundling some things up into cumulative updates and throwing them out there as features and say, hey, here's some more features.
Right.
And it's not a feature update, but here it is, right?
But it's a feature, yeah. This is the Microsoft giveth, Microsoft taketh away thing. I think last July through October, if there was one thing that we could celebrate about Windows 11, universally, individuals and businesses, they had walked away from this twice-a-year feature update thing. And I think everyone thought, great, it was too aggressive, whatever. Even though they had shifted to a scheme where they had a major update in the first half of the year and a minor update in the second half that was kind of like the long-term support version, whatever. That was okay, but having one a year was great. But then you realize, like you said, they can add features at any time. They added features last fall. They added features this spring. You're going to be rebooting your computer at least twice a month because of updates. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's been.
Yeah. Even yesterday on Patch Tuesday, the patch that came out for Windows 11 added a new feature. It added that new search experience, right? And so that's supposed to be security updates, right? Like that's what you expect in Patch Tuesday updates. They're usually, almost always, I would say, security updates. But this one also, you get that new search experience that adds all the, the state and history thing, and I forget what they exactly call this now, but
search highlights. Yesterday it was Henry David Thoreau's 102nd birthday.
See?
I call this is a distraction, like I said, because when you go to search, you're going there to do something, and then you see this thing that has nothing to do with what you were doing, and you look at it, and then you're like, why are my socks in the refrigerator again? What was I doing here? You forget,
Yeah, and then the other one we've talked about many times on the show, tabbed File Explorer, maybe will show up in a cumulative update this year. I don't think they're going to put it in 22H2, but they could, right?
Yeah. I just got it on one of my computers.
Oh, you did?
And
you did?
Yeah, no idea why.
Yep.
In fact, I was taking screenshots for the book, and I bring them over to the computer that got the update, and I started realizing, the navigation pane in File Explorer was completely different on the two computers. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I've been taking screenshots of this thing. What's going on? And then I realized it's because that computer had gotten the the tab update, and it also changes the navigation pane. It moves OneDrive from toward the bottom to up toward the top for some reason. They're moving the cheese around. So yeah.
Is that running an insider build? Or what was that running that got it?
So the way, the provenance of this is hard to say, Joe, but basically I got the first build that we knew would be 22H2, which is like, I should know what it is. I'm sorry. 22, it's like 22, 22.621 dot something, right? So they provided an ISO for that. I've used that to install that build on all of my computers. It gets updated, so now it's 20, whatever, point something. So that's how it was on there. But it's not enrolled in the Insider program. It's just out there with that build on it. So it gets updated, and it got the tab update. Lovely.
Okay. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like right now, if you're in the Insider program, it went to the dev channel. It went to the beta channel. I don't think it ever went to the release preview channel. Did it? Tabbed File Explorer.
No,
right.
and I don't. Are you sure? Did it definitely go to beta? I guess it must have, because I got it.
I thought it did.
It must have, because I don't have it. Well, I do have one, but this is not a dev channel machine. So
yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. I didn't expect to see it. I was confused by it. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think to answer your first question, though, it says what's going to happen with Windows 10 and 11 the rest of this year. I think Windows 10 22H2 will happen, and I think it will be the most minor updates. Right? I don't remember the details of this, but if you think back to 21H2 or 20H2, it was probably like a little bullet list of a couple of business-oriented. Very small things. It will be something like that, right? It's not going to. Well, search. I guess search highlights will be part of it. By the way, did you know the new Microsoft Store is in Windows 10? The one that comes in Windows 11. I just brought up a Windows 10 PC for book purposes, and that's the store. There's an interim update. I know it's an app, but that's an app that delivers app updates. It's kind of an important app. Like that app was updated on Windows 10 in the past year as well. In a pretty major way, right? There could be, you could see more of the app stuff, which may or may not be interesting to you. But I think that's going to about do it. But I think you're right about the trick isn't whether 22H2 happens. We know that's happening. It's what else happens, Yeah. And I think File Explorer tabs is a great example. It's probably going to happen this year somehow. It will be like the thing we got Tuesday. It will just appear one day and we won't know why.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. And then next year, looking into the rest of the fiscal year, we already know that Windows 7 extended security updates ends in January, right? So so that people had 3 years to pay for extended security updates, and that's going to stop in January. I don't think they're going to extend it again. Right? That's right. Windows 8.1 support and Microsoft 365 apps on those two platforms also no longer will work in January as well. So, some people are banking on them extending the date again and letting people pay for more time, but I don't think you should count on that. I don't. Yeah.
No, we're going to be in a Windows 10, 11 world at this point. And just like XP for a long time, and Windows 7 will be out in the world. We talked about dentist offices, I think, last week or whatever. But you'll still see it because that's the way the world works. But I think for all intents and purposes, this is the end.
Yep.
This is the end, my friend. The end.
Bring in the helicopters.
Very good. You picked right up on that.
That was good.
Yeah. Hanoi. I don't know what this bullet point means.
Well, actually, because you weren't here for this.
Oh.
When you were away a couple of weeks ago, I went off on this. Mike asked me a question, and then 40 minutes went by. And basically...
Remind me not to ask that question.
The question was, well, I want to write an app for Windows. What do I do?
Oh, good Lord.
And
there's a short answer to that. Surely.
And
went down a long rabbit hole.
The result was, there are about 17 different ways you could write apps that will run on Windows. I don't think it's possible for some guy, some woman, anyone is out in the world and says, I have an idea, this incredible app. I'm going to make it just for Windows. What do I do? No one's thinking like that, right? We're in the cross.
Well, that seems like a bad thing. I mean, in the early days of computing, there were lots of little people writing, simple apps. That was what made the ecosystem so broad, vast, and exciting.
Yeah, but ecosystems mature over time, and the way that
so it's now
personal
narrow
computing is kind of a broad term, but
narrow and boring.
well, it's by nature. Well, we have two major mobile platforms. Yeah, it's still vast, but there are two, right?
Yeah.
Back in the early '80s, we had Commodore and Atari and TI and
Time. But I'm thinking the early days. Windows 3.1.1 and on. All of those. Remember all that shareware and freeware and Norton Utilities and all that stuff. But Peter Norton was just some guy with
Society.
Exactly.
No, the point we came to was nobody's writing a killer app for Windows anymore.
Well, for anything. The killer apps.
That's just not what you do.
And that would be
right?
insane. That would be insane to do that. Even you will see people, because Apple has done an incredible job with developer evangelism. So you will see companies who will say, I'm going to target Apple, and they might just come out on iOS and iPad, maybe the Mac, whatever. But I bet, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet that doesn't happen as much on the Google side for some reason, even though that ecosystem is bigger. I'm just going to target Android, is not a thing too many people say, but certainly nobody's saying that about Windows. And it's not because the ecosystem isn't big. It's just because you want to reach customers, and customers are spread between these different platforms. And so, the web makes a lot of sense.
So you're saying people write cross-platform? That's what's going. That's what. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Flutter.
Even Microsoft has their own solution for this. Right. They have Maui on the Microsoft side. They have Flutter on the Google side. Remember Apple waged a war against this kind of thing in the early days of iOS because Adobe had some kind of cross-platform solution. They specifically said we don't want least common denominator apps.
Right.
But I think that stuff has matured, and are we ever going to get, like, in other words, are we going to have a PDC? Well, like we have a build now where it's like the Longhorn build PDC, and we get like a new .NET based API or no. That's over, guys. Like the .NET, the fact that .NET exists today is a miracle, but part of the reason it exists is because of cross-platform.
So was Mike asking
.NET is very much a cross-platform.
About cross-platform apps, or was he asking?
He asked a very simple question. I took it down.
I think he just wanted to write a, he's learning Python. So he says, well, I would like to write a Windows app. How do I do that?
Right.
And, it used to be you say Visual Basic, right? Well, no, usually you say Visual Basic.
Right. No, that's right. That's exactly right. So if you go to the Windows developer website today, what you'll find is Visual Basic still sort of exists, of course, C#. There's we have these legacy frameworks. See, I'm going to do this again. But we have these more modern frameworks that actually, this came out of a discussion about the expiration of Windows 8.1 now that I'm thinking about it. So the modern development platform that's built into Windows that's native, native is a tough term, but is what used to be Project Reunion, which is now called the Windows App SDK, which used to be UWP, which used to be Universal Apps, which used to be Metro Style Apps.
So this is not
mobile apps. They're mobile apps.
This is not the smart sixth grader who says, I want to write a little calculator app for my PC. He's not going to, how big is the documentation for this stuff, right? He's not going to do that.
Here's the thing. So Microsoft, in its infinite wisdom, decided 10 years ago that they were going to put a mobile app platform inside Windows, and that was the future. So what they didn't do was evolve the native desktop app platforms that they had at all. And belatedly, now that .NET has resurged, there are third parties who are actually looking at WinForms, they're looking at WPF, and they're extending them and bringing new features, and that's neat, but it's not what we've moved on, unfortunately.
When the smart sixth grader calls the radio show and says, I want to write an app for Windows, he's not saying cross-platform. He just wants to program, and he wants to program it on the platform he's using, which is Windows. I would have said, the free VB for years was the right answer. Before that,
by the way, you could answer that. You could answer it that way.
Yep.
So they still have
Visual
that?
Basic still exists.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Visual Studio community.
Okay.
You can use. They don't really call it Visual Basic.net anymore, but it's basically Visual Basic.net. They'd be better off learning C#. By the way, you get all the same tools. It's a more sophisticated language, and it's also being rapidly and updated and actually updated. I mean, Visual Basic right now is kind of flatlined as far as new features and so forth. But you could, if you wanted to. That's what I did a couple years ago when I wrote the first version of my that Notepad app was written in Visual Basic.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize it was still around.
Because
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's still
So what's your prediction, though? I'm curious. Like, okay, we get this whole discussion? What's your prediction?
It doesn't change. There is no thing. We're not going to have that next big framework, right? So Microsoft, we've talked about this so much. Microsoft meets developers. They also meet customers wherever they are. That was the thing about when Satya Nadella came on board. They brought Office to the iPhone, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's crazy," But they're just meeting people where they are, and that's what they do with developers. So if you're a web developer, we support React Native. Go to town. We have .NET tools for web around Blazor and ASP.NET and whatever. There are like 100 choices. So you can't point people to a thing and say that's the one you got to do. It depends on where you're coming from, what your background is. Do you have a code base you want to bring over? There's so many solutions. Charles Petzold used to write a book called Programming Windows. You can't write a book called Programming Windows. There's no such thing. You'd have to have 17 volumes. Programming Windows with ...
Right.
Right.
It's just the way the world's gone, and it's never coming back. It's just there's no new native Windows anything that's going to change the world ever. It's over. The world has evolved. It's not Microsoft's. Well, it's not Microsoft's fault. I was going to say. I suppose it's partially Microsoft's.
No, and you get the same. Probably same answer for most platforms. If somebody said the same thing for Apple, you might say there is no VB. The closest they've got is Swift Playgrounds, and that's kind of not very good.
It's a learning environment. It's good for that.
Learning environment. So probably the answer to Micah's specific question is Python allows you to write code cross-platform. And you just have to learn, and it's not easy, I have to say. You just have to learn the libraries to use to make it a Windows app versus a Mac app versus a Chrome versus Android.
If you came up, if you're a .NET developer, you have multiple avenues for the future for you to go to. There's all kinds of things you can do. It's great. If you literally are a grade school child and you've never programmed and you want to make an app of some kind, it's most likely that a kid like that would want to do it on a phone or something. How exciting would it be to bring up
That's
something on
probably
the phone?
true, isn't it? Yeah.
But you know what? You could make a case for web apps for those people as well, because those things run everywhere. But yeah, mobile app, I don't know. I don't know what to say. On Windows, it's hard. I would not want anyone starting out in the world today to start with Visual Basic, because that's a dead end. Not that they couldn't learn, not that it wouldn't be useful and fun and
honestly,
whatever, but
Basic has always been a dead end. There's no time Basic wasn't a dead end. Seriously. And people of our generation, well, your generation and mine, learned Basic because it was the first language, but we always had to transcend that to go any farther.
So I don't know if I ever told this story, but I co-taught a class at Scottsdale Community College a million years ago about Visual Basic. And it started out as just a traditional class. Here's what we're learning. Here are the topics. Here's the homework. And toward the middle of the semester, it turned into, all right, here's some Visual Basic code. What do you think it does? And then everyone would say, blah, 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 whatever. We're like, yeah, that's exactly what you would think it does. It doesn't do that. And then we would because the language was so terrible and so illogical, we had almost every week we had examples of people who were smart who said this should work, and we would look at it and we would say, you're right, it should, it doesn't. And it's Visual Basic.
It's a bad choice.
Yeah.
On the Mac in the early days,
fun,
people
right?
used HyperCard that way. It was the
simple
kind of for everybody programming language. And I have to say, and AppleScript somewhat too. And I have to say, every time computer scientists write a language for beginners, it's really a nightmare. It's not. And I understand their desire to make it accessible. I mean, there's Scratch, which is kind of cross-platform. There's ways to do it, I guess, but.
Sure.
That's for teaching.
Kernighan and Ritchie have their own version of Basic still to this day. If you really want to hit a dead end and you want to see how the originators of Basic wanted the language to go, it's out there. You can find it right now. It's crazy.
Is it QBasic or is it something else? It's not Kernighan and Ritchie, by the way. It's not Eckert and Mauchly. Who did Basic? It was
No, it's
Kernighan and Ritchie or K&R is C.
Is that C?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So I should know better than that. All right. So Basic. Let's see. I wrote about this in my.
That's interesting. So there's still kind of a primitive Basic that's around.
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of Kearney and Kuntz.
I can find it.
Kemeny. You're thinking of John Kemeny.
That could be.
Yeah, not Kernigan. Kernahan.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
John Kemeny. He wrote BASIC.
KNRSC. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
He's one of the Hungarian Martians. No, seriously. There came out of Hungary in the 20s a group of scientists. I know this because I'm reading a biography of John von Neumann, who were considered Martians because they were so far ahead of everybody else. They were like these brilliant. They were mostly Jewish. They were disproportionately represented, for instance, in the Manhattan Project. They were, the majority of them were Hungarians who were trained and went to high school in the 20s, escaped in the 30s, and then helped us devise the atomic bomb. So yeah,
you're right.
Kemeny was one of them.
Yeah, John Kemeny and
Kurtz.
You're right.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's easy to mistake.
So those guys, or one of
Ritchie
those
with
guys.
Kemeny and Kurtz. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So, the product is called True Basic. It's referred to as the original Basic.
True Basic,
It's cross-platform. It runs on DOS, Mac OS, Windows 95,
Is that
and
still
newer,
around?
Unix, Linux, whatever.
Wow.
It's still around.
It's not free, though, I don't think.
John Kemeny passed away in 92.
Right.
Oh, I doubt it. I'm sure they're still trying. Yeah, the original Basic since 1960.
True
Yeah, truebasic.com.
The Basic Bronze Edition. Well, as soon as you see a
If you thought Visual
bronze,
Basic was screwed up, you haven't seen
see a
anything.
Bronze Edition, that's going to cost money. That's going to cost money. Yeah. Wow.
The Bronze Edition.
The Bronze Edition. You don't want the Bronze Edition. So the Bronze Edition is $19. The Silver Edition is $99. The Silver plus Forms is $129. The Gold Edition is $149. And there's nothing better than gold.
There you go. I don't know what to say about this.
Our
It's
suggestion,
funny,
do not buy any version of BASIC, period. True or otherwise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
And they've got
What's interesting is this thing has supposedly been around since 64. It's only in version 6.
Yeah, you'd think they'd improve it over time. Version 6.007. And then they have all these libraries you would buy. That's hysterical.
Right.
Of course, BASIC is an important concept for Microsoft fans because that's how Bill Gates started. He's very famous, BASIC in a minimum number of lines that he sold first to MITS for the Altair and then formed Microsoft around it. And he was very proud of his code, I remember. Dvorak used to tell me all the time. Bill would say, I nailed this one.
Yeah, but he did. But actually, Paul Allen had the more impressive accolade or feat during that time because he flew out to Albuquerque to demo it, and he was looking at the tape and found a bug, and he fixed it.
Yeah. They didn't have an Altair. So they had the whole thing was in emulation. They had no idea if the tape would run.
Not a VAX. What was the thing before the VAX? A digital...
the deck.
PDP-11.
PDP, probably a PDP.
PDP-11.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. Yep.
What a story. Look, I got a 10 behind me right here. What a story. That is hysterical. He debugged the paper tape.
He debugged it and put it in, ran the first time correctly.
There is a wonderful book which I highly recommend called Programmers at Work. And the first edition has the interview with Bill Gates and the code that he's so proud of.
Oh, that's
it
great.
has a piece of the code.
Yeah. I had that book.
It's a great book. I love that book.
I don't know if it ever...
I have it somewhere here. I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I don't have paper books anymore, but I wonder, I don't think it was ever digitized, but like a Philippe Kahn must have been in that. And
yeah, exactly. Susan Lammers wrote
guys
it.
Like that.
Classic. Yeah. And I'm just wondering if... No, you still have to buy it.
Yeah.
Because it'd be fun if you could get a PDF of it. There it is.
There it is. Dan
Bricklin.
Guy from VisiCalc.
Dan Bricklin. Bill Gates. This guy is familiar.
Guy.
I can't remember.
CPM. He made CPM.
Oh, yeah. DR Dusk, Gary Kildall. And then who is this?
I don't recognize him. It's not Philippe Kahn.
No.
I don't know.
No. Wow. I think you're buying a used version if you buy it. Wayne Ratliff. Wayne Ratliff, the creator of DBase. Or it could be John Warnock, but I think it is Ratliff, actually.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
It's not Andy Harrisfeld, obviously.
No. Isn't that hysterical? Great book. Highly recommended. And in the index in the back, there is the code listing for Bill Gates. Let me see if I can find that online. Everything's online, right?
Sorry, Mary Jo. We derailed.
We could get this
we went
into
back down this rabbit hole, guys.
Yeah. We love this stuff.
You do.
We
I have a better
love this
story
stuff.
for you, though.
Oh, yeah?
Breaking news.
Oh, okay.
Netflix has been rumored to be doing a lower ad price subscription. Guess who their partner is going to be in building it?
Who?
Microsoft.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
That's
why would
breaking.
that be? Wait, for ads?
Why would that be?
Because of ads?
Yes. Yes, because
Oh,
of
God.
ads.
What?
Oh, they're going to use the ad
really?
back end. Yeah.
They're going to use the Microsoft advertising platform. It's early
That's
days. We have much
curious.
work to do, but blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're going to work with Microsoft ads. Yeah.
You thought our games were second rate. Wait until you see our ads.
Thank you to the Discord people who are like posting breaking news in the Discord.
Here is, by the way, if you want to see, and it may look a little familiar to you. Oh, shoot, I lost it. Somehow here it is. Bill Gates. This is a YouTube video of Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And here he is in front of something that should look very familiar, the Altair computer, which I have over my left shoulder, which is why I have these, by the way. I just did this. I flipped those switches. Mine's running a Raspberry Pi, obviously, and is about 100,000 times more powerful. Here he's talking about his... and then I wrote BASIC in 20 lines. So...
Oh, his voice is not that deep, Leo.
More nasal. Must be more nasal.
If people wonder why I have these blinky lights here,
Windows 98 was designed to be more user-friendly.
the Altair 8800 computer.
Oh, God, the savior of our industry.
And that's the cover of the Popular Electronics. Remember that Paul Allen ran into their Harvard
from
dorm
Harvard
room
Square.
and slapped Bill with it. Said, "Bill, wake up, wake up. We got to
We
go
used to go to that newsstand. And
Really?
Harvard News. I
That's
think
still
it was.
there? Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
No, now it's gone. But it was there for, it was there until probably 10 years ago. It was kind of a fixture.
Nice. Okay, back to Netflix. Much more important. Okay.
Yes.
That was the rumor's been going around for a while that they were going to do the ad-supported version.
Yeah, but Microsoft's involvement is definitely a surprise.
That's new.
It's huge because the last story I saw, which was from the Wall Street Journal, said that it was going to be Google and Comcast or NBC Universal
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
to do the ad
there you
back
go.
end. So this is a big win for Microsoft. This is June 22nd in the Wall Street Journal. Google, Comcast Corp's NBC Universal, and Alphabet's Google have emerged as top contenders to work with Netflix. That's a huge win for Microsoft, I think.
Yep, it is.
Their ad platform's big. I mean,
Their ad platform exists.
it exists.
It's, yeah.
It's bigger than Apple's probably, but it's not as big as Google's or Facebook's.
No.
Interesting. So it'll be Microsoft Bing in your Netflix.
No. Probably, well, yeah, Bing will be involved somehow, right? Because that's part of the platform.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Comcast does the ads for Apple News and Apple stocks.
Okay.
So that's why Comcast is a player. Google does Disney's stuff. That's interesting. This is
I
a
love
big
it when
surprise.
two empires get together.
Yeah. to capitalize on us. Yeah. Love that.
It's like the Habsburgs and what was the other one? I don't remember.
I think Kernahan and Ritchie were the other ones. Yeah.
Kernigan and Kenneman. No, Kurtz and...
Kemeny and Kurtz.
Kurtz is a name out of Apocalypse Now, too.
Yes.
It's all coming back to Apocalypse Now.
It's all about Apocalypse Now today.
It is.
Let's take a little break, unless you have something germane to add. And then we're going to do EdgeOS versus ChromeOS. How about that?
Okay.
Or did we finish the developer story? I mean,
Oh, we finished that. You guys.
Never finish it, so let's move right along.
I saw that in the notes. I'm like, no, not this again. No.
It's over. All right. Let's talk CDW and Lenovo. Oh, man, I love those ThinkPads. Oh, I do. This episode of Windows Weekly brought to you by Lenovo, orchestrated by the experts at CDW. The helpful people at CDW understand that as the world changes, your organization needs to adapt quickly to be successful. So how can CDW help keep your business ahead of the curve? Well, with Lenovo ThinkPads. These powerful devices deliver the business class performance you're looking for thanks to Windows 10 and the Intel Evo platform. With your remote teams working across the country and around the world, collaboration is not a problem because Lenovo ThinkPads keep your organization productive and connected from anywhere. Plus, CDW knows your workforce has different work styles and needs flexibility, which is why Lenovo ThinkPads are equipped with responsive tools and built-in features that let your team work seamlessly across their favorite tools. Now, think about that for a second. And let's not forget about security. No. These high-performing machines protect at the highest level with built-in hardware to guard against modern threats without slowing your team down. When you need to get more out of your technology, Lenovo makes seamless productivity possible, and CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo Client. cdw.com/Lenovo Client. We thank CDW and Lenovo for their support of the Windows Weekly program. We may now move ahead in the discussion, unless you want to talk some more about the developer story. I mean, it's always...
Well, we didn't. There were a few things we didn't cover.
I can't do that to Mary Jo. All right.
But watch, I can segue from the Netflix story to the next Edge versus Chrome. Watch
please
this.
do. Okay. A little sleight of hand here.
Watch this little cool segue. So Paul and I have both been speculating that Microsoft might be adding a lot of stuff to Edge because they want to create an operating system similar to ChromeOS, and we've been calling it EdgeOS. One of the things they've been adding a lot of to Edge is stuff around advertising, around shopping, and like stuff that we've been calling crap. But basically very consumer-focused stuff that has to do with MSN and has to do with Bing and has to do with all these things that they're going to work with Netflix on the ad-supported Netflix platform, right? So we've been thinking about this, talking about it, contemplating it. And then one of our listeners the other day emailed Paul and I, and he said, I actually found an EdgeOS listing in the Microsoft Career site. So we both raced to look at it. And when you look at what this is, it has nothing to do with ChromeOS, right? It at all. Yeah. There's a thing that is called the EdgeOS team at Microsoft, I guess, and it has to do more with distributed cloud, distributed edge. So edge computing, IoT, that kind of stuff, and nothing at all to do with like a ChromeOS competitor. So then the question comes up, do we still think Microsoft is trying to build something to compete with ChromeOS? And I've been asking around about this, and my contacts say no. My contacts say whatever EdgeOS is and why, the many reasons why they're adding things like shopping and all these weird consumer-y features to Edge, it really doesn't have to do with them trying to build something that's like ChromeOS. They said because if you were going to create something to compete with ChromeOS, you wouldn't be adding that kind of stuff, right? You wouldn't be adding shopping and all that. Like you'd be adding other things to the browser, but not that kind of stuff. So my belief now is that the reason they're adding all these things is somebody has done surveys at Microsoft, and we know they love telemetry. What do people use their browsers the most for? And results came up like shopping, right? And like comparing prices, doing web searches. So this is why they're adding what they're adding to Edge. It's not because they want to compete with Chrome OS. It's because somebody got a survey and they said, oh, we need to get more consumers. Let's add this stuff because that's what people do with a browser, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on.
Like a usage play, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think it's fair to say that Windows 10X, had it happened, would have been a Chromebook compete kind of a product.
That's the
And
whole
if-
purpose of it. Yep.
Yeah, and if
Was.
that container-based system for running Win32 apps had worked, I think it would have become Windows in the same way that NT had, back in the 90s to the early 2000s, and
Yep.
it didn't. So I guess whatever. I mean, we've moved on,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, they've tried before. I mean, they've had, obviously Windows 10s, Windows RT back in the day. I mean, these things could all be, I guess RT you could argue was more of an iPad kind of a thing, but it's all the same space. It's we have trouble selling computers that work well for under $500. How do we compete in that market, And I don't think we do. I think the sweet spot for PCs is right above $500. So $500 to $1,000. There's some great machines in there. You look under $500, it's like, not so much.
Yeah. Right. Agree.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, though, is that what they're going to do with the Duo as they move forward? Like, I think they're going to keep investing in Surface Duo. I don't think it can.
Sure.
I don't think it really is a phone competitor, even though it has telephony, right? I feel like maybe that's their low-end mobile platform play, the Duo, as it evolves.
Well, what about
I don't see. I think they're going to keep betting on Android for the low end.
Yeah, I mean, I could picture them doing a Neo device running on Android, and Google has just announced that they're really serious about tablets again and detachables and whatever, and a dual screen bigger device, maybe. I mean, I don't personally think that kind of thing is particularly interesting, but I think one of the big weaknesses of Android is that it can't compete effectively with the iPad for whatever reason, for many reasons, I guess. And if they get the apps updated and they look great on bigger screens, et cetera, I mean, I could picture Microsoft doing more Android devices for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do. Yeah, Windows Central had something recently where they said they don't believe there'll be anything like a Neo. Like they think Microsoft's just tabled that idea.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but
I don't
that doesn't
actually
mean,
care about that, but
me neither. Same.
Sorry.
Like I'm not totally sold on the dual screen with the hinge thing, right? But Microsoft seems very sold on that, at least for the Duo.
I saw somebody put Windows 11 on a Duo.
They did. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Here's what makes more sense to me. Microsoft sells certain Surface products with both AMD and Intel choices. I'm like, okay, cool. What if Microsoft made a Windows or a Surface Pro X, but running Android?
Yeah.
Same form factor, running Qualcomm parts, whatever, but basically an Android detachable tablet. Those things exist. Samsung makes some things like that. But if Android evolves to the point where it makes sense on a tablet form factor device, 2-in-1 form factor device, I could picture Microsoft jumping on that. And by the way, that makes a lot more sense to me than a dual screen device.
Yeah.
Of any kind.
Agree.
Honestly.
I know.
It's possible.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, however, if you are a dual screen fan, the Surface team is very taken with the hinge, right? Like they love this hinge idea. They think this is their claim to fame, and I think no matter what they build is going to have a hinge, right? It's like they just seem to think they can make a case for this, and I don't know.
Yeah, they're a little too taken with their engineering there, but I don't know that we have a good example of an incredible hinge from Microsoft, to be honest. I mean, the Surface Book was kind of ludicrous,
Yeah, it didn't work.
I think their big contribution has been the original Surface design, really Surface Pro 3, but this magnetically connected keyboard that detaches and it's a true tablet. To me, that's where their strength is.
Yeah.
Not these complexities, whatever screen devices we have in the future, Samsung, Huawei, whatever it is. I'm sure the hinges are incredible, and that's a big part of it, but really, it's about the screen. I think that's what people care about. I think.
Yeah. It'll be interesting if they get into foldables too. Microsoft really, they keep talking about enhancing Windows to work on dual screen and foldables, right? So, I mean, would they ever do a foldable? I don't know. Maybe.
I think they have to, if assuming they continue forward with Duo or whatever other dual screen devices. Like to me, foldable is the natural evolution of that.
Yeah. We should talk about Surface then. We've been talking a little about it. So predictions for the rest of this year for Surface. My expectations are low. Like, I think we'll see more Surfaces, refreshes of all the many of the lines, not all, but like, I don't think there'll be anything
You're talking this
revolutionary.
fiscal year, right? Not this year,
so
calendar
like
year.
this calendar, like usually there's a fall Surface launch, right, of some kind where they have Christmas, holiday.
What has to be updated? The only major product that has to be updated this calendar year, in my mind, is laptop, right? So there has to be a Surface Laptop 5.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I mean, unless they are suddenly changing their release schedule, they just had a major product launch last fall.
Yeah.
And they don't typically do every year, you know? So,
Right.
I mean,
I
we'll
think
see,
if they
but-
do things incremental, right, like update the processors, that kind of thing, nothing like a brand new type of product in the fold.
Is there an example of Microsoft? I don't think there is. Taking an existing product, just make one up, like Surface Laptop 3 back in the day, and it came with whatever Intel and possibly back then AMD processors, I think it did. Just take that product and rev it and say, now we have 12th gen processors or whatever the new one is, but it's the same product. It's still called Surface Laptop 3, you know, or whatever the product is. I don't think they've ever done that. And except they have, and they called it Surface Laptop 4, I guess. I don't really think there are too many differences there, but maybe that's what they do. I don't know. I don't. What else? What would you, if you're coming into the holiday season this year? You know when they've updated things in the past. Like, what has to be updated now? I think it's just laptop.
And what can you get parts for if you're updating it?
Oh,
right.
that's a big one.
That's the other question.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, I was just looking at the calendar. I'll be gone. Paul and I'll be gone next week. You've got a very special Windows Weekly on the 20th. And then we'll be back on the 27th, and that's the day after the end of the year earnings.
Yep.
One of the things to look at will be how Surface is doing, right? How big a business that is. You think it'll still hold?
No.
It's been good. No?
They warned last quarter to expect further declines there. And I think it's just a cyclical thing. They did their, like I said, I don't remember the month, September, October, whatever it was, their big product release. They came out with Surface Laptop Studio. They went to Surface Pro 8 with a new design, which is fantastic. I don't remember exactly all the details, but the one that was missing, like I said, was the laptop. They haven't updated it all year. I think they've updated this year. I know Surface Laptop Go. And have they updated Surface Go this year as well? I don't remember. But if not,
they don't have a 12th gen.
Right. That's right. But they don't typically jump right on this stuff. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, it's a weird thing. 1 year, I guess they could. They could just rev. They could do that thing that they've never done and rev their product lines. Don't change the designs. I mean, they're in a pretty good place design-wise, I think. And put 12th gen chips in them just in time for the.
They should at least do
gen
that, I would think.
To be announced.
Yeah.
Well, the least thing, I guess, the other thing they could do is wait for 13th gen, which comes out in the spring, and they could announce that for the spring, and then they could just be on the most current gen
what do we
chipset.
know?
I mean,
what do we know about the 13th gen? Is there still big? They're good. They've gone big little, right? Everything's big little.
Yeah. Hybrid.
Hybrid. Yeah, performance and efficiency.
Yep. No, I would
You could
expect
add
us more
LTE,
of
right?
that.
LTE would be something. Yeah.
Yeah, because they occasionally roll out quietly an LTE-enabled version of an existing.
Feels like
Surface product.
LTE is gone now from laptops. Like people just say,
Really?
well, yeah, because everybody has a hotspot on their phone.
I know. There are still people I talk to all the time who are like, "Yeah, I don't want to use that
know,
though.
but-
I want it built in." I know. I'm not that person, but there are people
We
like that.
talk to those people, but I don't think those people are the mainstream. And the reality is, if these things sold, everyone would make them. And you just don't see a lot of
That's
broadband,
exactly right. That's what I think. Yeah.
modem
True.
connected laptops. You
Too
just don't. I mean, there are some.
Right.
Yeah.
It not only adds to the cost of the build, but it adds to the monthly subscription fee. So
That's right.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And when
And-
your phone, if you have an unlimited plan of whatever kind, or in Verizon we call it an unlimited plan with air quotes around
Right.
it, whatever it is. You can tether your phone and
Right.
get that connectivity when you need it. You know?
You can. Yeah. So in the Discord, Lowell is bringing up some products that we haven't mentioned explicitly. Like he's talking about the Duo. He's talking about the old Microsoft Band, and people always ask us this. They're like, do you think they're ever going to make the Band again or something like a fitness tracker? I say no. I think they have decided that's not their wheelhouse. Also, the Duo. So the latest rumors I've heard from various places is there may not be the Duo 3 this year, that they may wait, take a pause, and do it next year. But sounds like they're still investing in the Duo. Like they haven't decided like, it didn't really go anywhere, we're not going to do it. It sounds like they're still all in on the Duo from everything I hear.
Prices have dropped, haven't they, of the Duo?
Oh yeah, the original Duo, the price is like nothing. It's like $500 or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually that means a new version's coming, but in this case it just means a lack of interest.
It also means
think
it's
they
not selling
made
well.
them.
Yeah.
Right. They made them and they got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they could take them apart and put the chips in something they need.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's a scrap
Can it go in a
device.
server though? Can it go in the servers in the data centers? That's what they really need.
Yeah, sure. Why not? They put all sorts of crap in there. Office 365, Microsoft 3. By the way, it's Microsoft 365, right?
Well, not completely. There are still some
Yeah.
SKUs called Office 365,
Oh, okay.
but
But I mean,
many are called Office.
wouldn't you say the overall product line is called Microsoft 365?
I would.
That's the
I would.
parent brand.
Yeah. I would say that.
Microsoft is not good with branding. I think we're all familiar with that.
They're not. They're not. Yeah.
Yep. I remember they changed a bunch of them, but they didn't change some.
Yeah,
And if I'm not
all of
mistaken, at
them.
that time,
Yep.
they might have announced a new Office 365 SKU at that time too. I mean,
They may have.
really,
I know.
they're just not good at this kind of thing.
Naming.
that great.
So hard.
No.
So hard.
Consistency, not so good.
Somebody called up the radio show, said, I use Outlook. And I said, oh, which
Yeah.
one?
You're gonna have to be a
Which
little more
one?
specific.
You have to be more specific.
Yeah.
HoloLens? Anything new in the new year for HoloLens?
I think there's
Well-
going to be a big pause there, right? Because of all the turnover.
I guess that's the real question is it dead?
I think no, but I think they'll if they keep it around, it's going to be much more only for business, only very specific business markets. And then there are rumors that they may build some kind of new headsets that are for business use, like vertical industrial specific versions of them. But that doesn't mean they will give up on this market, because there are a lot of rumors too about them partnering with Samsung to make consumer headsets, which is what Alex Kipman, before he left, was hoping the direction they were going to go. So I think they've got to stay in this market, right? Like they I think they've made a case for it being something that some businesses can benefit from. And I think at least from the business standpoint, they're going to stay in the augmented reality space, especially with what they're doing with Teams for Mesh or Mesh for Teams. I can never remember which way that name goes. Like
Well, they
the
also-
idea of here we go with Web 3, right?
They're kind of alone in this space with businesses. And
Except
that's
Magic
something,
Leap. The new Magic Leap, though, is all like high price, big business thing.
I mean, sure, but magically. I mean, Meta could probably make a play here. Honestly, I know that is something a lot of people might disagree with, but I would expect them to have a play for businesses. But
We've seen rumors
could be
that
a case-
Meta's backing down on that hardware too. So it's very
and also on their OS, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, look, when the iPhone first came out in 2007, it didn't integrate at all with any Exchange Active Sync anything. It was for people in the Microsoft world, which was all businesses, it was a big problem, and everyone wanted to use the iPhone. So for iPhone OS 2.0, as they called it, the next year, they added all that integration, and everything's been fine ever since, basically, right? So that was a case where, like, C-level people, whatever, kind of drove the push to get this technology into places where it might not have gone otherwise. They could pull that again with their own, whatever Apple does around glasses or headsets or whatever. If it's good enough, and I don't see any way any of this stuff could ever be good enough, but I could see Apple running away with this in a couple of years if they come out with something and it's good, and then you get that push from the executive suite, like, okay, let's go. I want to get this stuff in the business. It could push that because Apple will go full blown consumer. That's what they are. But you could picture the car designers, whatever vertical uses there are for HoloLens today. I could picture it all just collapsing and going
Wow.
Apple, which is a weird thing to say because the Apple thing is imaginary at this point. But They've done it before, and I just don't see a lot of enthusiasm for HoloLens out in the world.
Wow, people are already leaving the market before Apple's even entered, even admitted.
By the way, this is right, and this is the market power that Microsoft possessed in the mid '90s. Right. All they had to do was hint that they might be entering this market, and they would, businesses would collapse.
Yep.
I think Apple's in that position for when it comes to devices.
Wow. And you're right, because as soon as you said Apple, I said, oh, business will never do Apple, except that BYOD completely changed the world, right?
All it takes is the guy calls, the guy from the C-suite calls down to IT and says, yep, support it. And they're like, but you don't understand. No, it's like, you don't understand. You support it.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened with iPhone.
Yep.
It absolutely happened.
Kind of amazing.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Then I think we have to talk about, that's it for our rundown of things to expect in the new fiscal year, which goes through June.
So the one little wild card that I think we kind of skipped over a little bit is ARM and Windows on ARM.
Oh, yeah.
And, there won't be anything product-wise this calendar year, but it's possible this fiscal year we'll see that Nuvia acquisition product come out from Qualcomm. And if Qualcomm does their annual event in December like they always do, that should be the place where they announce it. CES happens a month later. That's where devices will be announced. Microsoft does a spring event sometimes, that's where we could see a Pro X update, et cetera, et cetera. So that might be where Windows and ARM finally starts to make sense, or it might not. I guess we'll see. But I think this is the moment of truth, and it should happen somewhere in this fiscal year.
Right, but also before that, Project Volterra, right, which is the ARM-based dev kit that Microsoft announced. That should be out this calendar year.
And that's based on current gen stuff, and
but remember, they also hinted they're going to have something to say about licensing Windows on Apple Silicon.
That's right.
Right, they're going to say something about it. We think this year. Right.
That's okay. That's true. And now we're over a year after that should have happened, but. This is another example where Apple could kind of run away with it. Not that people would buy a Mac to run Windows and ARM. That sounds ludicrous, but it is a literal fact that Windows and ARM runs better in virtualization on a Mac than it does on real hardware today on PCs. So that's that's something they got to fix. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's one thing for Windows to run better on a Mac on hardware, which it never did actually, but it's another thing for it to run better while virtualized. That's incredible, and they need to get it on top of that for sure.
I mean, the thing people are waiting to hear is, will Microsoft say they'll support it? Because right now you can do it, but there's no ISO, right? So there's all these things that are missing that businesses especially want, right? So we'll see if they actually make good on this, and maybe by the time of Ignite, like fall timeframe, they'll have something more definitive to say that businesses will feel like, okay, now we feel like we can officially say it's supported.
Yeah, you should be able to buy a Windows license, download the ARM version of the ISO, and activate that thing on, if not on original hardware, then at least in a virtualized situation on a Mac, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that you can't, but that's the case.
No, they're putting a lot of investment right now in Windows on ARM. Like, you're seeing like more and more of their own products being built natively for ARM finally, like years after people thought this would happen. Yeah. So they're gearing up for something, right? They're getting ready for something to be happening where they think people will actually want Windows on ARM. Right now, if you have it, it's more of a curiosity item, but they're acting like
we have everything but the PCs.
Yes.
we have the software is all in place for sure.
Yeah,
that's true.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
The build is here.
Yeah, today's build, not a whole lot.
You know what the best part about this build is?
25158. What?
Actually, there's one thing. There's one thing in here that I think is super important. Some number of builds back, they added what they called an experiment, which put a search box on the Windows 11 desktop. That is gone. They've concluded the exploration. They're not doing it. Thank God. That was the dumbest idea in a sea of dumb ideas.
Yeah.
So they have walked back from that.
Cool.
So that's good.
Yay.
Yep. They also have more A/B testing in here, which Paul will love, about when you hover over the search icon, what it will say, or like, will it say search the web, or will it just say search, or will it just be the magnifying glass still? And they're giving different builds to different people in the dev channel, and they're trying to do compare and contrast the feedback from this. Yeah.
Not a fan of the way they're testing it, but it is a fact that if you're coming from Windows 10 to 11, it is strange that search on the taskbar, which I just turn off, but is only available as an icon and not as a search box like it is on Windows 10. So it's not surprising that they're thinking about maybe bringing something like that back. I think it should be an option. I don't think it's not necessary, frankly, but it makes it discoverable. And I think that's the point of it.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last week we talked about using Rufus which I thought was really interesting, to install Windows 11 without a Microsoft account.
Yep. So I want to talk about that because, I have spent a bunch of time with that, and I got to tell you, so I'm writing the Windows 11 field guide, as you know, and I have 3 different methods for getting through initial Windows 11 setup without having to do the Microsoft account if you don't want to. So Rufus is the third of the 3. I don't like the way this works, and I'm honestly I'm probably still going to leave it in the book, but I'm probably going to I'm definitely going to recommend that people not do it. So what does that mean? So when you run Windows setup, I just took shots of this today because I did this on a real PC and I was kind of blown away by the way it worked. So I did it in a virtual machine, which requires you to take a USB key and convert it into a bootable ISO, which is a bit of a project, but image burn works, and that's how I did that. So anyway, I literally just did the virtual version of this today so I could get screenshots. So the way this works is setup proceeds normally. You get to the point where it says, hey, let's connect you to a network. In Windows 11 version 22H2, when you get to this part, if you don't connect to the internet, you're not continuing. You have to connect to the internet. With the Rufus built version of the USB or ISO or whatever, you can say, I don't have internet. And then actually it works like it did with Windows 10. It says, you would ask, you sure you want to do this? Because, it's better when you connect. You say, no, I want to do this. You continue with limited setup. You have to type in a username, Paul, and then create a super memorable password, right? The same language that Windows 10 used, which you can skip. And then you privacy. And then that's the end of setup. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I just described maybe 5 to 7 steps of setup. In a normal Windows 11 setup, it's got to be 22 to 25 steps. Like there's a lot of other stuff. So I was like, wait a minute, what? Like that really cut down on the amount of time you spend in setup. And I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. But then you get to the Windows 11 desktop. And if you think about all of the icons that are built into the start menu, there's only like 6 or 7 in there because they're actually built into the ISO. At some point during setup, you actually download that stuff from the internet. So that doesn't happen when you're offline. So the start menu is mostly empty. And then you go into Windows Update to do updates, and then you realize where you just saved all the time. I had to reboot this computer, I don't remember now, but it was 5 or 6 times. It took me over an hour.
Oh, that's
and
awful.
There was something weird about it where I had to keep it was like retry. Like it didn't have sound. The display driver wasn't right. It had to download everything. So basically, when you bypass like huge chunks of setup, what you're really bypassing is the thing that makes Windows. So it's actually quicker just to sign in with a Microsoft account or use one of the other ways to bypass that. Go through setup normally, get into Windows, bring it up the first time. You're still going to check for updates. There'll be 2 or 3 little things, and that's it. You're done. This takes a lot more time. I found this, and this was true on a physical computer as well as the virtual machine. It was really arduous. Like, I appreciate that you can do it, but I don't think this is the right way to go. So the one thing I just remind people, aside from workarounds, which Microsoft may or may not get rid of, just remember this. You can always set up Windows with a Microsoft account, create a local account, boot into the local, make it an administrator, boot into that, and then get rid of the Microsoft account and go on your merry way. You'll be fine. And by the way, that computer will be perfectly set up and configured with all your drivers and all that stuff. This doesn't. Maybe I should try different hardware, I guess, but this just doesn't seem like the best way to do this because setup is so short. My first reaction was like, woo, and then you get into Windows, you're like, oh, oh no, this is bad.
That's why it was short.
So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure I recommend this, is what I'm saying.
All right, well, we're going to continue on with the saga, but first, I think it'd be a good time to take a break and a word from our fine sponsor, Nuve. Hi, Nuve. Good to see you. What is Nuve, you might wonder? Well, you probably know, actually. If you are running a business and you take payments, you certainly should know Nuve is tomorrow's payment platform, totally designed to accelerate your business. I think you might already be in this situation where you see your payment provider kind of holding you back. You need something a little more modern. You need Nuve's next generation payment technology. It not only boosts conversions and reduces fraud and increases approval rates, but it works seamlessly with your existing tech stack. So it's not a whole big deal to get Nuve involved here. You can connect to Nuve's platform with a single API integration. It's very straightforward. And Nuve's platform is totally agile. So you can add new payment methods easily. You can enter more markets. You can meet evolving customer demands, stay ahead of the curve. Let me give you an example. Nuve offers more than 550 alternative payment methods, including cryptocurrencies, local payment solutions around the world, 150 currencies. Can anybody else do that? That's amazing. They also offer local acquisition in 46 countries and more than 200 global markets. It's truly a global solution. And don't you want to be a global provider? Customers also benefit from all payout options, card issuing, banking, and fraud management services. Nuve can handle even the highest demand peak events. Always-on approach ensures 99.999% uptime. They offer flexible a la carte solutions that are tailored to your needs. So now you understand why some of the biggest global brands, the biggest companies in the world, use Nuve. Wix, Valve, DraftKings, General Motors, Valentino, Crypto.com, and many more. Nuve is their payment partner. With future-proof technology and a dedicated team of 24/7, 365 human support professionals, Nuve prepares your business for whatever comes next. So maybe it's time to say goodbye to the abandoned carts and the poor approval rates and the high chargebacks with your current payment provider and look at Nuve, N-U-V-E-I, the platform fast forwarding to the next generation of payments. Turn payments into powerful accelerators for your business at Nuve.com, N-U-V-E-I, Nuve.com. Nuve, tomorrow's payment platform. We thank Nuve so much for their support of Windows Weekly. And you support Windows Weekly, by the way, by going to Nuve.com. And if they ask, say, I saw it on Windows Weekly. Hey, I missed it completely. Yesterday was Patch Tuesday. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me everything. What do I need to know?
I wish I could, Leo, but I'm still bringing everything back.
Everything's rebooting. I got a Dell firmware upgrade, so at some point,
Yeah.
And then I see
So
Realtek.
you get those through like a Dell update app, right?
Yeah, they have
Maybe
a special
come through.
app. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a Realtek USB GBE Ethernet controller. But the Windows update, when I got in, I got a thing saying, time to update. But then it didn't look like it did very much.
Huh.
So I don't know. How many updates were there?
Well, there should be
80 something, right? Total.
Yeah. well, delivered via one main update, right, for each version of each supported OS, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, mostly, we already mentioned search highlights. That was the big one. So search highlights came to the original version of Windows 11. So if you're running 22H2 through the Insider program, you already have it. If you're running Windows 10, interestingly, you already have it. And now if you're running the original version of Windows 11, you have that distraction, so you can enjoy that. And one of my tips will be how to get rid of it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I just downloaded right before the show yesterday's Patch Tuesday update, and so now when I click on search, I'm on the mainstream build of Windows 11. It doesn't have the search highlight because I think I have a lot of those things like turned off in my settings, but.
Okay.
The whole search menu looks completely different. Like everything's moved around. I'm like, okay, I don't have all those distractions, but things aren't where they were.
You mean the Windows menu or the magnifying glass?
The search, the magnifying glass on the taskbar.
Yeah.
Yep.
That thing you're looking at there on the right is search highlights. So if you want to get rid of that, click the little dot up there in the top right, go to search settings, and then scroll down a bit and scroll down. You have to scroll past. And then right there, more settings. It says show search settings. All right, so now you can hit like Windows key S, and you'll see that it is gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
So pretty.
But see that menu he's looking at? That my search menu didn't look like that
Doesn't
until
even look
today.
like that. No. Well, I'm on H22, H2, so.
Yeah. I was on Windows 11 mainstream.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yep. I mean, I was going to say they mean well, but they don't mean well, do they? This is literally about driving people to Microsoft services. They don't mean well. There's no end user benefit
No,
to this.
this is about getting more people to use Bing and MSN. That's what it's about.
Right.
Yep. That's okay. You can turn it off. As long as you can turn it off.
And if
that's
you're
what I always
an
say.
IT
As long
admin,
as you can turn it off.
Yeah.
You can. And there's a group policy to turn it off across and over as well.
Yeah.
What the quick searches suggestions, is that related to anything I do or just random crap in here?
Random crap.
Okay. Because I don't think I've ever done focus
you mean on
settings.
I'm sorry. Do you mean on the left side or
No, on the left is just recent. On the right, it says quick searches.
Oh, quick searches.
Focus settings, sound settings, Bluetooth and devices, display settings, color settings, search settings.
Yep.
Never change
Those
color
are exactly
settings or
the
focus.
same.
That's the same for everybody.
I see the same ones. This is not based on anything you've done. This is just things they think you might be looking for.
Something you might want to do. And of course, Microsoft Edge is a top app. Actually, these are the apps I have open right now. That's really dopey. These are the apps literally I have open. The top apps.
Yeah. Yep.
No, and here's
What's
the other thing it
about
does.
My list,
If you're signed into your Microsoft account, your business account, like I am, now I see on the right-hand side all the things I did recently on my business account inside the search panel. Like, here's what you did today at your account.
it's a search
that's
history.
New.
Yep.
Right, that's new also. Yep.
And Out of Sync says
And
that 57,568 Microsoft Awards points, that's a lot. What can I do with that?
you could probably get a $5 Microsoft gift card.
I can get fries. It's Natural French
No,
Fry
you can
Day.
get hardware. That new.
I've earned enough
shirt.
points.
You're going to need a little more points than
Let
that.
me see. Let me see what I can get. Here's my rewards.
I bet it's between $5 and $10 worth of gift cards.
I can get a
Really?
Plague Tale Requiem custom PC bundle. That's for a chance. I have a Roblox digital
Search for like
code.
Xbox gift card, or Amazon.
All of these are
gift card.
sweepstakes. Oh, here's a Domino's Pizza e-gift card for 5,000 points. Amazon gift card. How much is that going
much
to be?
is that?
$10.
Oh, that's not bad. So you get 30. You get 30.
I got $30 in points. I get a Hulu gift card.
Enjoy.
That's not bad.
Uber Eats.
Basic Xbox.
Taco Bell.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, that's not horrible.
Yeah. I presume these are all companies that are paying Microsoft for my search info, right?
Oh, Leo, this is just done through the goodness of their hearts.
Oh, of course.
I don't know what you think corporations do, but
There's a lot
They
of
advance
charities.
justice.
You know, you can donate it, which is kind of cool. There are a lot of charities in here. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. In fact, I'm at the bottom now. It's almost all charity.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Microsoft's ad business is almost a charity, so that makes sense. No,
Until they get to deal with Netflix, now it's not a charity.
Not a charity anymore, buddy. Now we're talking money.
yes.
And of course, that opened Edge, not my default browser, Safari, to see that.
Oh, man, I just documented this. There's nothing sadder than configuring a different browser to be your default. And you click on anything in search, highlights, anything in widgets, and Edge comes right up.
Right up.
That's how it
There's,
works.
there's not a thing you can do. But, well, there are third-party utilities that Microsoft is blocking, but There's not a setting in Windows that will fix that.
Yeah.
Nope.
The redirection, or should I say misdirection page is opening.
Because that is a good user experience, and they just want you to have a good user experience.
Best possible experience.
Microsoft cares.
Yeah.
And then the rainbow goes by.
All right. So do your updates. I suppose they're critical updates in that bunch.
Yeah, there's a 0 day in there. So,
oh boy.
But I'm not sure the patch for it is there. But there's a mention of it at least. So yeah, there's
Microsoft has acknowledged.
Well, we know about it anyway. That's a good. That's
I know.
A
I
start.
saw very conflicting things about that yesterday. I'm like, so did they patch the 0 day? I would assume if they disclosed it, they patched
Must
it.
have,
But
right? That would be pretty funny if they didn't.
that would be really bad.
And
if
we
they
told
did
you
not.
about it. What more do you want?
Yeah, just be alert.
Windows Auto.
Yeah, and we should mention Autopatch.
Yeah, Windows Autopatch, general availability.
Right. So if you're a Microsoft E3 or E5 customer, so an enterprise customer, you now have an option as an admin to do this Autopatch service. So what it does is it basically helps do more than you could with Windows Update for Business, which is a set of policies and deployment tools. So this new Autopatch service creates rings inside your company so that you as an admin can say, okay, I want to check these patches. I want to roll them out to a small group first, then a bigger group, then a bigger group. It can automatically roll back things if there are patch problems. So it doesn't really replace Patch Tuesday, which I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's not meant, so if you do Windows Autopatch, it doesn't mean you don't have to do Patch Tuesday anymore. Too bad. That's not what it means. But it just does automate and simplify your role as an admin if you want to use it in terms of more what would I say, uniformly setting up rings, automating the process, being able to more simply roll things back. It's an aid. It's not a replacement for your work. But it's generally available now if you have E3 or E5.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. And Paul, you were talking at the beginning of the show about PC sales for 2022. We don't have numbers yet, or we're only halfway through.
No, these are predictions. Actually, IDC just came out with their second quarter numbers. Gartner hasn't, so I'm kind of waiting on that. But PC sales did fall in the second quarter year over year. Gartner has now confirmed what IDC said back in, I think, May or June, that PC sales are expected to fall in the high single digits this year overall, so 8 to 9.5%, depending on who you listen to. What's interesting about this to me is that, remember IDC had said, well, it's going to be okay in the future. They're actually going to go back up again. Gartner didn't say that, but both of them agreed that we're at a place now where even though year over year PC sales are going to fall, they're still at a much higher level than they were before the pandemic. So in the last pre-pandemic year, which is 2019, PC makers sold about 264 million units. This year, they're expected to sell 316. So, yay pandemic. I mean, it's all just good news for everybody, really.
Pandemic. Woohoo.
But yeah, so the other interesting thing about this to me, I mentioned earlier, consumer PC demand is declining big time. Actually, business PC demand is going down as well, but much smaller numbers. Very, very, very different reasons, though. Like I would have said, why are PC sales falling? Because of the pandemic ending, right? And it's like, yeah, not exactly. Consumer demand is down. You might say that's because of the pandemic sort of ending. But it's supply chain issues, war, inflation. IDC says China lockdowns contributed. Gartner says currency fluctuations are playing a role. I mean, it's like we're like just pulling like what could it be?
The weak euro.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but our planet is circling the drain, and that might have something to do with it.
God, it feels like it sometimes. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to play quiz time. I'm going to show you a flow chart.
All right.
And you're going to tell me what that flow chart means.
Okay, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? You know where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
Yes, I think you do.
Are there guns in the flow chart?
No, there ought to be. There ought to be.
Oh, okay.
This flow chart.
Oh, I see.
This flow chart. Start. User opens file with VBA macros and an MOTW, message of the what attribute.
So This is funny because we just discussed Visual Basic and whether it had any future. And you know what? It kind of does, because Microsoft used to use a version of Visual Basic for macros across Office. And those little programmable nuggets of gold can be used to compromise your computer. So Microsoft said, I don't remember when this was. Last year, early this year.
We talked about this on Security Now yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had to correct Steve because he didn't have the latest. No surprise, because Microsoft's been waffling.
Yep.
So fill us in.
Yeah,
What's the history here, Paul?
Yeah.
I don't remember when it was, but Microsoft said that they were going to basically get rid of, block VBA
I think
macros
in April.
That were obtained
Around
from
April.
third parties over the internet. It was in April.
And then business,
and this is one of those things,
cry,
I
because they're so reliant on it.
Depending on who you are, right? It depends on who you are, like how you react to this, right? I think like a lot of us would have been like, are there still VBA macros?
Right.
Like, is that a thing? Is that really still a thing? I guess it is. Because remember, VBA, this might be 25 years ago. VBA was going to be replaced by VB Script at one point, and they used VB Script for other things, but that was a disaster. And by the way, a security disaster. So VBA macros kind of continued. And we just talked about this last week. More recent, or a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, more recent ways to expand Office capabilities are through new web technologies, right? But VBA's macros are still around. And I guess, if you're a business and you hear that, you're like, whoa, hold on a second. What are you doing? We use these things. And apparently enough of them complained that Microsoft said, okay, we'll back off for now. They still intend at some point to block VBA macros in what they call the current channel of Microsoft 365. But as of today, this date, that I think it was supposed to happen Tuesday, right? Was that the day?
Yeah, I think so.
Patch Tuesday, probably.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute,
so
because according to Carly Page writing for TechCrunch, Microsoft has reversed its reversal.
Okay.
They did. Right.
Oh, jeez.
So
Okay.
what is it currently, Mary Jo? What's the current?
No, so the latest I know is they are going to roll this out at some point. But what everybody was complaining about was when they changed their mind and said, oh, actually, we're not going to do this. A lot of security professionals were like, wait a minute, you were going to do the right thing by blocking this.
Yes,
and
Steve
now
was
you
celebrating
have said,
it. Yes.
Right, now you've said you're not going to do it at all. And all you're saying as the reason is user feedback. But they didn't say what was the user feedback that made you undo it? Then when everybody complained about them undoing it, they came back and said, oh, no, we still are going to do it. We just, we don't know when, and we won't talk about what the user feedback was that led us to undo the good decision of getting rid of these.
So you can still, with group policy, do it.
You can.
And the new system was going to be, you had instead of having a big button that said, enable macros, which was deemed by most, that's a little too easy. And people could be fooled.
Well, that's like when you go to an alcohol site, it says, are you 21? And you're like, yeah, sure. I'm 21.
I think the
yes
problem
or no
was phishing sites and so forth would say, okay, now we want you to be able to win this great prize, but you're going to see a button in a second. Make sure you click enable to win the great prize. And people just go, yeah. And they click so then they changed it so you had to actually go in the document properties. You still could enable macros, but you had to go into document properties, check a box.
Yeah.
And that's the right way to do it from the point of view of security professionals. But I think obviously big businesses said, well, I want to have to train our users that now they have to do this. We use macros. We know they're safe. So that's when that flow chart appeared showing the future. By the way, I've looked up MOTW, and it stands for Mark of the Web as opposed to Mark of the Beast. What is, do you know what MOTW, Mark of the Web is?
No, but I can guess because
it's some sort of policy.
This is referring to externally sourced like VBA or scripts that come from outside your organization, like untrusted sources.
Yeah.
So it must have something. It's just
have
some
the
funny
mark
way
of the
saying
beast.
Okay,
fine.
They have the mark of the beast because they're from the internet.
Okay. So this is in the Microsoft blog post. So it sounds like, we understood that was onerous. Some businesses didn't like it. So for now, we're not going to do it, but we're going to do it in the long run. Is that what it is, Mary Jo? We're going to do it eventually. Okay.
Yeah. we don't know when.
Right.
They won't give us a date or a year. Nothing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got that cleared up.
Yeah.
Because Steve was one of those people who was saying, "Oh, this is about time. Microsoft should have done this years ago."
He was happy, right?
But security there's often this balance between security and convenience. Security experts are always going to say, "Well, it doesn't matter if it's inconvenient. You got to do it." And businesses then say, "Well, wait, that's not going to work for us." Microsoft says .NET Core 3.1 is going to be end of life soon.
December, yeah. So back when Microsoft was transitioning .NET from the old proprietary Windows-based .NET to new open source goodness that we have today, they went through an interim period where they had .NET Core releases, right? So .NET Core 3, I don't remember the exact timing, but I'm going to guess it came out in early 2019. It was supported for 18 months, and then .NET Core 3.1, long-term service release, or long-term supported release, was supported for 3 years. So that's expiring in 2022, of course. We've moved on now. So .NET 5 arrived. That was the first version that was all kind of open source and cross-platform. .NET 6 came out last year. .NET 7 will come out this year. So if you're still running on top of .NET Core, you basically just need to upgrade your products at some point this year to get on to either 6, or if you want to wait till the very end, you can move forward right to 7. So it's not a big deal. It's just like a vestigial, leftover from that transition period.
And Surface 2 Duo update for July. See, I'm not dead yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the title pretty much handles the story there. But Mary Jo mentioned, Surface Duo 2 especially seems to be getting some love from Microsoft. It's gotten a lot of updates. And this month, like last month, I think they added haptic feedback control in the camera app settings. This year, there are some more camera-related updates. Not a big deal, but it's nice to see them supporting this because, as Mary Jo said, it's we're not really sure where they're going with this. And keeping this product up to date is kind of a nice thing to do for the people who have purchased it, and makes the platform a little more viable, I guess. But
yeah. What's weird? I'm seeing more and more reviewers, and not just people who are very pro Microsoft, but some people who've been big critics say, you know what? Now with all these updates and how quickly they're applying security fixes through Android and such, I would actually recommend the Duo. And I'm like, hold on, I think that's going a little too far. But
well, if you could get Android like 12L on there, which maybe you can, I'm not even sure if that's an option.
I don't know
that's kind of interesting because Google has done that kind of stuff with updating the OS. And by the way, the price, I think you said this earlier, but the price is a lot lower too. I mean, I think
prices
this thing
are coming
debuted
down.
at $1,300 or something. I mean,
the
if you
first
can get it in the $500 range.
I think only the first generation is in the $500 range, but I think second generation is down around $1,000 now, but that's like almost $1,000 cheaper than it was, right? So
yeah, it was just too expensive.
I don't know. The software experience is what turned me off on the Duo. Like, I feel like it's still too unwieldy and it doesn't work consistently. I have not tried it again in a while, but and the way you have to take pictures with the camera, like folding it in weird ways. I don't know. Like, I just don't think the form factor works as beautiful as the hardware is. Excuse me.
You know what we didn't do, Mary Jo, when we did our little predictions for the current year? We didn't mention the biggest thing that's going to happen this fiscal year. What? The very biggest thing. Microsoft is going to close its deal to acquire Activision Blizzard.
Maybe this year, right? Didn't they say this fiscal? They said, right?
Not up to them. I mean, they've got to get through regulatory hell, right?
Right. So, but their plan is that this will happen before June 30, 2023. So that's the fiscal year, right? So they do anticipate it. Obviously, they're going to want to announce it as early as possible, but they were open about this in the beginning. Like, this is going to take a while. This is a nearly $70 billion deal. We know that regulators from across the planet are going to want to look at this. Regulators, I don't know what I said. And so this past week, the UK's, it's called the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, announced that it's investigating this acquisition. This shouldn't be seen as a step back or a problem or anything. Of course they are. The major regulator, why can I say that? Regulators from every country will, if they're not already announced, will be looking at it. This is part of that schedule that they built out. So that's normal. It's expected. I don't see any reason this doesn't happen. So we'll see.
I mean, it's not like they become the biggest gaming company or anything.
No, I think they're still. I think the number was a distant number 3, weren't they, at the conclusion of this?
Yeah, that's right. As they were quick to point out.
But the other thing I have to say, and I guess I just owe you an apology, Mary Jo. This is the only Xbox story I have today. And I'm so
it's funny, when
sorry.
you were gone, we thought there's no Xbox in there, and he snuck some in.
Yeah. How did this happen?
And I couldn't let that stand. Could not let that stand. So
Very impressive how you just stealthed it.
I was just
that guy.
Yeah, delivered it.
All right, we're going to.
In many ways, it's the biggest story.
Is it really? Is it?
No, it is not.
Well, but you said something which is true, that the biggest developments in 2022 for Microsoft have all been gaming.
Yeah, they have.
Yep.
They have.
It's important to their business. So there.
Yeah.
So there.
They're all in for sure. I mean, and listen, in the past, that wasn't always a given.
Right.
There were many years where it just felt like sort of an afterthought, and it's very clearly very important to the company.
Good.
So that's good.
As it should be.
We'll always have something to talk about.
We'll always have Paris. It is going to be the back of the book coming up next. Mary Jo Foley has an assignment. She must come up in the next 5 minutes with a beer pick of the week, because
I already have
Oh,
it.
she knows already. That's next. Let's start with, as we begin the back of the book segment, the segment you've all been waiting for, Paul Thurrott and his tip of the week.
Yeah, so everyone. I mean, everyone who sells anything is starting to have their back-to-school sales. Microsoft has one every year, and so they announced it this past week. The interesting thing about their sale this year is that it's actually going to run for 2 months. So it doesn't mean that everything is on sale for the entire 2 months. They're actually putting things in a different time. So some of the offers that they announced this past week are going to end July 18th, August 21, July 24, depending on what it is. So none of this is super surprising, but if you think about what they sell at the Microsoft Store, so you're basically looking at deals on Windows PCs, whether they're from third parties or Microsoft, Windows peripherals, accessories, that kind of stuff. So you can save up to 50% on select Windows 11 PCs, save $300 on a pretty good Surface Pro 8 and Surface Pro keyboard bundle, which brings the price down on that machine to about $900 for a really nice configuration, by the way. I think it has 16 gigs of RAM, I think. Up to $300 in select Surface Laptop 4 models. That's interesting, as we just talked about how Surface Laptop 5 might be coming. So that's interesting. There are some really good sales on Surface Laptop 4, 13.5, but not on the 15 is what I found, because I was kind of interested in that. And then Microsoft and third-party peripherals, all that kind of thing. So why would you buy from Microsoft? Free shipping, free extended 60-day returns, and a 60-day price promise on Surface devices. So if you can find it less somewhere else, they'll give you the difference back. So it's something to check out at the Microsoft Store. And you don't have to rush, because it's going to be going for a while, which is kind of interesting. And then
an app pick of the week.
Yeah, I do have one. So
I installed
everyone is
PowerToys on my new Windows 11. I can't remember why. There was something I wanted.
There is some really good stuff in there.
I needed.
It's worth looking at. Anyone who uses Windows 10 or 11 should check this out. There's 12 tools. The big one to me, the one I like the most, is called PowerToys Run. And what this does is emulates the Spotlight search on the Mac. So you hit Alt plus space, and the search box comes up in the middle. I think that's kind of cool. But what's happening in the latest release, this is still in a pre-release version. It's version 0.60, so they're kind of iterating it, but it's never hit 1.0. But there's a bunch of stuff. A lot of Windows 11 support in this release. So power rename and image resize now appear in the Windows 11 context menus, which they didn't before, only on Windows 10. The always on top utility uses the Windows 11 visual style, so it's rounded corners and all that kind of stuff. The PowerToys Run feature I just mentioned I don't actually understand what this means. So what it says is there's a plugin that allows you to run OneNote from this utility, but OneNote actually works on this utility, so I'm not 100% sure what that means. And then Fancy Zones has been improved. So Fancy Zones is, if you're familiar with Snap, the feature that's in Windows 10, well, and 11 and previous versions, it's sort of like Snap on steroids. Because if you think about how Snap Layouts works today in Windows 11, depending on your system and the size of the screen and whatever, you get different layout possibilities. You can have two apps side by side. You can have like a 2/3, 1/3 split. You can have one big app and two small apps. You can have a grid of apps, whatever. But Fancy Zones lets you basically set up your own custom configurations for zones, and it supports multiple displays and all that stuff. So you can have apps in whatever configuration you want, save it as a thing, and then you can come back and everything goes back to the way it was before. So it's probably more than most people need, but if you're a power user and you're really interested in that kind of functionality, it goes the extra step beyond the built-in Snap. So that's pretty cool. So you can get this from the web or the Microsoft Store. I actually recommend the Microsoft Store. The web version is through GitHub, and if you're a normal person, you're going to look at this site and be like, "What is going on?
Where do I download?
It won't make any sense to you."
What's the download?
But if you just go to the Microsoft Store, yeah, it's exactly. It's really hard to find. But if you go to the Microsoft Store, it's there and it works. It's exactly the same. So
I still can't remember what I installed it for, but I didn't know about that alt space. That's great. Oh, that's a good one.
If you're used to the Mac, it's like, and that's one thing I always like better on the Mac. Frankly. Lots of keyboard customization stuff. There's a keyboard utility.
Oh, I know. That's why I wanted to turn off caps lock and make it a control key, and then PowerToys does that.
And that's why, right? Because you can do any keyboard combos you want. Yep. Just assign it to nothing. Right.
Yep. That's exactly. Yeah, I hate caps lock.
I keep a reg file up in my NAS for that purpose. I just run that every time I install it.
Smart.
To do the same thing.
I always used to assign it to control because I use control a lot. So. Yeah.
I just wish it wasn't there. I wish I could, I don't understand why I would ever need cap locks.
That's a good point. Why do we need that? That's a very good point. I never thought about that.
Back in the day, I think all caps was more of a thing. I don't know. Yeah. It's not. I can't think of a single instance where
legal
I want
pleadings or something. Maybe I don't know. Nobody.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. It just seems silly. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Could be. Enterprise pick of the week. Maybe. Mary Jo Foley.
Yes, if you are a Dynamics and or a Power Platform user, you will want to listen to this tip. The Wave 2 2022 release plans are out as of this week. So these are hundreds of pages of documentation about features, not every feature, but many features that Microsoft plans to add to Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform between October this year and March next year. So, and these documents, you get really granular things. Like they're not going to disclose major new features that they haven't talked about before, but more about like, here's how we're adding new kinds of rows to a CRM, or how we're going to be adding more AI to various modules that we have in Dynamics 365. There's something for everybody in here, truly. There's hundreds of features total. All the modules are getting some kind of an update. On the Power Platform front, they've got sections for all of the Power Platform. There's new features coming to Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, the new Power Pages module for building websites more easily using the Power Platform, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents. It's something, like I said, something for everybody. So if you check out these plans and you're interested in any of these specific features, starting on August 1st, certain ones of these features will be available for trial for free in non-production environments. So again, if you use Dynamics or Power Platform, you probably want to go get the Plan 2 Wave stuff and check it out now. A related tip. We've been talking about how Microsoft hasn't really talked about doing any in-person events yet this year. Well, here's one that they're going to do. September 20th to 22nd, the Power Platform Conference in Orlando, Florida. This is the first Microsoft sponsored and Microsoft run conference for Power Platform. And there's a list already up of all the speakers. There's some pretty big names. Jeff Teeper from Microsoft, Charles Lamanna from Microsoft are headlining this. But if you are a developer really into the Power Platform and you want to get tips and tricks and you want to go to Florida and be in an in-person event situation, you should go to powerplatformconf.com, powerplatformconf.com, and you can see the schedule, the speakers, and lots more already up there.
Does anyone want to go to Florida for an in-person event?
I know. Not my first choice, but
it's Orlando. You can go to Disney World. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a risky thing, but also some people are just raring to go to an in-person event, and there you have it.
I think we should do some beer.
Wait, what about the code name?
Oh, code name time.
It's a good one.
Code name.
I think this is how you pronounce this, Salus, S-A-L-U-S.
That's where the word salary comes from.
Yeah.
Is it really?
I think so.
Salus also is the Roman goddess of safety and welfare.
Oh.
And that's why it's a very fitting name or code name for Microsoft's new tool that generates software bill of materials. So if you're somebody in the security space, you know about SBOMs. SBOMs, software bill of materials. This is the ingredients that make up the software components. And when you see these, it gives you more information about your supply chain dependencies. So Microsoft's SBOM tool, as of now, this thing known as Salus, is available as an open source product. It works on Windows, Linux, and Mac, and it supports the standard software package data exchange format, SPDX, to those in the know. Software bill of materials. It sounds good. I don't know.
It's a big deal for developers.
It is.
Yep.
It is. Yep.
That needs it. Now we can do some beer.
Now we can.
Beer here.
A beer pick for you guys, for Paul and Leo, in honor of your trip coming up. Yeah.
We're going somewhere? Okay.
You're going somewhere.
We're actually not going to Anchorage, but
You're not going to Anchorage, but I bet you'll see this beer in Alaska. Anchorage Brewing is one of the biggest craft beer brewers in Alaska. They have a beer called Deal with the Devil, very appropriate for you guys.
Mary Jo, she knows.
It's a barley
Mary Jo
wine.
remembers that was my favorite kind of beer.
I know. It's a barley wine.
17% ABV.
Yes, not a light
Listen,
beer.
if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Go all in.
That's all we're saying.
And I got to have one of these recently at a beer tasting I was at. They make different versions. They make some in bourbon barrels, some in cognac barrels. They are outstanding. Like one of the best beers I've ever had. I saw people on Untappd saying, I paid $100 for this bottle, and it was worth it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anchorage Brewing makes a lot of really good beer. We don't get a lot of beers from Alaska and New York, but the ones I have had from Anchorage and also from Midnight Sun in Alaska have both been excellent. But this one, Deal with the Devil, if you see it, you guys should buy it and do your deals with the devil.
37 Platos, baby.
Woo!
That's
Richard Campbell might find
beer.
this.
Yeah. Is Richard going to mock me if I order Aperol spritzers on the trip? The whole
I think
time?
we're all going to mock you, Leo. I think that's how guys are.
Leo has his orange drink again. It's
Listen, your pinky isn't touching the cup, is it?
It's a slightly alcoholic tang, is what it is. Good. We did it. We got through this one.
Oh, boy.
Paul and I are headed to Alaska with 120 wonderful fans for the Twit Cruise. We will be leaving Saturday, so think about us. Pray for us. On the beautiful
You're gonna have a great time.
Eurodam. No, it's going to be so much fun. And
Yeah.
you're going to have a great time without us. Michael Sargent will be filling in next week with Mary Jo and two special
I know,
guests.
I can't wait. Maybe if we have connectivity that day, we should watch from the boat.
Oh, we could do that. You know, it'd be even more fun.
do-
We could call in from the boat.
You could
We'll
heckle
do like
us. You could.
We'll do a Mystery Science Theater type thing.
Oh, yeah. we could replace their show with our show about their show.
Hey.
Awesome.
Hey, man.
Let me just see where we're going to be next Wednesday. Because we're in beautiful Sitka, Alaska. So I think we'll have connectivity. That's going to be that's exciting. So tune in next week. Is it every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. Paul and I will be back the following week, and of course, we'll have Microsoft's annual earnings report to talk about. So that's going to be a jam-packed show on the 27th. And we will look for you up there on the boat. If you're going, come up and say hi. Rich Campbell and Rafael Rivera are also there on
Come
their own
say hi.
dime.
We're going to be spending the whole week with these people, I think.
Oh, no. Just come say hi once and that's
Grab your
it.
sleeping bag. Come on in.
No. Aperol
Come on in.
spritzers on me for all. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, the cruise company has already called us and said, now what are you going to do next?
Oh.
So I was thinking maybe a New England cruise, something like that. I want to make it affordable, right? They said Mediterranean. I said, I think I want to make it easy for everybody.
How about, what do you think about like a Mississippi River thing? Is that a...
Oh, that's a thing. We're
that
doing.
doable? Do they have that?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Lisa and I already have booked it for 2024.
Oh,
But we could do it
there you go.
twice.
Okay.
It's a big river. That's a great idea. Yeah, Viking has Mississippi River cruises. And
which
so
way
do
does
other
it?
companies.
Does it go from New Orleans
Both.
or to New Orleans?
Both.
How
The
do
one
you-
we're going to
or
do
does it
starts
go
in
both? Okay,
Minneapolis.
yeah.
Believe it or not, Minneapolis.
Wow.
It's 2 weeks and goes all the way down to Nolens. And it looks like it's going to be
2 weeks. You could they don't even use an engine. It just floats down.
It just floats. Probably
Actually,
does.
That's the way it goes. Yeah.
But that's what's great about. I don't know. Have
Just
you ever
the
done a
power of the
river?
river.
No, you haven't done a river cruise. I know Mary Jo has. That's what's great about them. They're slow. They don't go fast. They're just putting along.
Right.
You could.
Yeah.
You can actually, in most cases, walk faster,
Yeah.
which makes it kind of fun.
I want to do that in France.
Oh yeah, we've
canals
done it.
and locks kind
We've
of
done
situation.
it. It's wonderful. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, Lisa and I did that a couple of years ago. Anyway, Mary Jo, we leave you in capable hands. We look forward to it. You find Mary
Your
Jo
hands.
Foley, your own hands, much more capable than mine.
We leave you in your hands.
We leave you in your hands. Mary Jo Foley is at allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's her ZDNet blog. Paul Thurrott's at thurrott.com. And his book, The Field Guide to Windows 10, is at leanpub.com. And keep an eye peeled for The Field Guide to Windows 11 in process, on its way. Well worth
It is.
either one.
I thought I was going to get this done before the cruise, but it'll be soon.
Close.
It'll be soon.
Close.
Raphael and I will work on this on the boat.
Really? Well, you want to do that in
Yeah,
public?
to get it out, just to get it out. Because there's, well, we'll see. Yeah, some of it. I mean,
I have pictures of David Pogue doing his index.
Kind of pictures.
Well, yeah, really. No, doing his index because
yeah, exactly.
every time he was
Yeah,
on
we
a
know a
geek
lot
cruise,
about David Pogue.
He'd be writing a book.
Right.
Anyway, so go visit their sites. Our site is twit.tv, and you'll find the Windows Weekly show there, twit.tv/WW. You'll also find it on YouTube. There's a Windows Weekly channel. All the shows, the videos there. It's video or audio for the podcast. In fact, you could subscribe to video or audio on your favorite podcast player and get it automatically the day it's pushed out, usually a late Wednesday. So you can listen on a Thursday, right? At your leisure. The Club Twit is also a big part of what we do and getting bigger all the time. Lots of events coming up. We do the Untitled Linux show there, Stacy's Book Club. I think a new show will be launching in the club pretty soon. I don't know if I can say anything. We just launched Hands on Mac, Micah Sargent has taken that show over. He's doing that.
Relaunched, yeah.
And that's exciting. That right now is club only. So there are two ways you can get that show. The thing about the club is you get ad-free versions of every show, including that show and Hands on Mac and everything else we do. And you get the Discord, which is really fun. That's Mary Jo's always in there, trading animated GIFs with the gang. Also, you get the Twit Plus feed, which has stuff that doesn't make it to the shows, but before and after content, specials, things like that. $7 a month for that. But you can also get, if you just wanted, for instance, Hands on Mac, either buy the $7 a month plan, you'll get that, or you can just pay for that alone, $2.99. Then all of that is at twit.tv/clubtwit. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Somebody's saying, are we going to do the newer screensavers? That's actually a great idea. We tried the screensavers and it did not fly, but I have some plans for late this year. And again, all of this is thanks to the club. So club members, thank you. You're the money we generate there really helps us do those extra things. Lisa wants to launch a bunch of new shows. And so that's a big part of why we started the club. Again, twit.tv/clubtwit. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you.
Paul, I'll see you in Seattle on Friday.
I will see you in 2 days, yeah.
2 days. Mary Jo, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And everybody else, have a great week. You dozers, we'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.
Did you spend a lot of money on your brand new smartphone and then you look at the pictures on Facebook and Instagram and you're like, what in the world happened to that photo? Yes, you have. I know. It happens to all of us. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands on Photography, where I'm going to walk you through simple tips and tricks that are going to help make you get the most out of your smartphone camera or your DSLR or mirrorless, whatever you have. And those shots are going to look so much better. I promise you. So make sure you're tuning in to twit.tv/hop for Hands on Photography to find out more.